Tomb Raider 3 was one of the first games my mother bought for me. In fact, it was included in my first computer. Good thing too, because she probably wouldn't have bought this game for me otherwise. It was Peggy 12 after all, and I was only 10. Yeah, that's right, because Germany was being ridiculous about game censorship, so much so that they even had to censor the blood in Tomb Raider 3 and make it purple instead of red. As if that would make it any less weird, or bloody, or whatever. Fucking Germans. What a bunch of stupid Puritan prudes. Disgusting. And Austria, of course, had no choice but to get the German version, because who would buy or sell an English version here? Well, no one apparently, not back then. That's the same thing as when they censored Team Fortress 2 to have oil instead of blood, and then everyone looked like robots, and it was very odd. Just look at this. Oh, sweet violence in Tomb Raider, though. Yes, shooting tigers and monkeys and such. Yes. And those fucking snakes. At one point, Mom even thought that I enjoyed seeing Lara die, but in truth, I was just really bad at the game. It was only later that I learned to enjoy Lara's sweet suffering. So yes, Tomb Raider 3 was a big part of my childhood, even though I was never any good at it. At one point, Mom even had to buy me an official solutions guide in book form. How did she do that? Did I ask for that? Or did you just see my suffering? And even then I wasn't able to complete it, because the game was insanely illogical, and it's not even with screenshots I was able to tell. Or maybe I was just too dumb, and it was in English, so it was all very confusing to me at the time. But a lot of the logic in the game is very contrived and stupid. At one point I had to raid a secret tomb in a London subway to retrieve an ancient hammer for one simple purpose: to smash a lock with it. And then Lara tossed it from her inventory. Fuck you, Lara, I'll toss you in front of a train. Another way to die is combat. Combat is a good part of the game. Oh god.
Enjoy your fight with the tiger. Hey, it's not sweet.
Yes.
My. Also, have you noticed about when Lara's shooting, she's got that angry look in her face?
Yeah, it's hideous.
It's like, bang, 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 bang.
Yep.
I like how everything is solved by shooting it, yes. And even better is that you can jump around and run while you shoot, unless you're using the MP5, in which case everything is fucking weird with the controls. Oh yes, the controls, they get in the way, don't they? Because the game has tank controls, which is terrible. People these days think that tank controls is a bad word, it just means that it's bad controls, but this is incorrect. Tank controls means that the character or vehicle moves independent from the camera rotation. So if you're in the car in GTA, you press forward, it always drives forward, even if you're looking somewhere else with the camera. In contrast, however, if you do that in Borderlands, it doesn't have tank controls. If you press forwards in Borderlands, it just rotates the car towards where you're looking and then also drives forward, and then it drives in a very hard to predict or illogical to predict curve towards where you're looking at, and I hate it. So tank controls can actually be better than not tank controls if you're going about cars. Lara, however, is not a car, and characters should be able to turn freely and also move freely. They should not have tank controls, like 99% of all other third-person games that don't have tank controls. But yes, and Lara controls weirdly for other reasons as well, because it's such an early game. It doesn't understand very much about how to interpret your movement. For example, if you tap forwards, you'd think it would understand that you want to take a little step forward, but instead it takes a whole big step forward, and often you fall off and die. Instead, they made a walk button, so you can press that if you want to take a small step forward, but that's just a completely pointless button, because you could have simply made it that you tap the forwards button several times and she walks, instead of having a dedicated button. Yep, they could have easily gotten away without having a walk button, and that would have definitely made things less confusing. Similarly, when you jump and you tap a movement button first, it jumps all the way in that direction instead of just slightly in that direction. That's equally annoying. So Lara's controls are definitely weird, but it usually works if you're not in a very enclosed environment and if you're not supposed to precisely walk towards a button or an item, which of course you are. It works for running around enemies and shooting them most of the time. Even then it would be easier if you could strafe while shooting. But I guess it makes sense. But what definitely doesn't make sense is the way it handles levers. Because you need to stand exactly there and you can't tap the button because that doesn't exist and she just makes a whole step in that direction and it's annoying. And turning sideways is also not very comfortable because it just does it at a steady speed instead of a variable speed based on how long you've held it. The only saving grace is that you have that 180-degree roll button. Otherwise, she'd be completely fucked with her stupid tank controls. But they should have definitely also made it so that if you press the button to grab, it should walk towards the item instead of just refusing to do anything because you're not precisely on the item. There's never two items so close together that would be an issue if you had just a little bit of intelligence to move towards the item and grab it. The controls may have been alright, or even good at the time of the game, but they have certainly not aged well at all. In fact, Lara moves very much as if she wasn't a human. Yes, could it be that Lara is a mech warrior, a cybernetic organism covered in sexy flesh? It would explain the clunky controls and purple blood. It could be cooling liquid. Oh no, both man and animal must die to robot Lara. Terrible. In contrast to the controls, the graphics have aged very nicely. Yeah, my nostalgia boner is totally hard. Oh wait, and then it's gone because I remember being here.
Oh fuck. I don't know, man. That latex outfit she's wearing, hoo-wee.
The graphics have aged very nicely. They fill me with a lot of nostalgia and they have very nice aesthetics to them. And the fact that you can increase the resolution to an extent makes it look much better than it used to back in the day. Unless you had an extremely expensive gaming rig, and definitely better than console peasantries at the time. The only issue is that the health bar and other UI elements just get smaller and smaller with the larger resolution because they don't become larger in pixels. The cutscenes are pretty cool as well. I like the British accents and the racist stereotypes are definitely something to be beheld. Even though sometimes the voices seem as if they were coming out of sometimes it seems that a grown man is voiced by a teenage boy, and it's really odd. And some of the cutscenes that are pre-rendered change the screen resolution, and that's really annoying when recording a game. I guess they just didn't foresee my YouTube Let's Plays at the time. Lara has access to many more weapons than she did in the previous Tomb Raider series. Tomb Raider games. There's an MP5, a grenade launcher, a harpoon, and most importantly, a Desert Eagle and a rocket launcher. That's more than twice as many weapons as in Tomb Raider 1. You'll just have to make sure that you go to Nevada first, or else you'll lose all the ammo. Yes, that's right. You can choose which one of the intermediate chapters you want to play first, and then the other two in whatever order you want. If you want to lose all your ammo, because in Nevada you get arrested and you lose all the items and ammo that you had. So if you don't play Nevada first, you won't be able to retain all the guns and ammo from the other chapters. Just in case you ever play Tomb Raider 3, I guess. Better watch out for Nevada. In general, level design is much larger and more sprawling than it was in previous games, but no less linear than it has been. There's always this huge area that you get to explore, but you actually don't get to explore it. You have to explore it because there's only one item that will continue the thread of the story that you pull on, one lever that you need to press, one key that you need to find. And so it happens that whenever you actually find one of those secrets, it's actually more frustrating than rewarding because it's not the thing that you've been looking for. You've been looking for the continuation of the level, but what you found is just some extra ammo that you didn't really care for at the moment. Unless you've had that problem with Nevada, I guess. And there's not even going to be enemies that spawn until you find that one part that continues the story. Because one way that you can tell that you've found a new area is because it's covered in enemies. Or if you've pressed a button, it'll be covered in enemies again, but if you can't find the button, you'll just be there and the enemies are waiting to spawn, but they're not in a hurry. They'll wait for you to find that button. So the levels are pretty long in this game. Some of them took me more than 3 hours to complete, just one. I haven't played Tomb Raider 1, but I think that this game's pretty much just the fat bumbling sister of Tomb Raider 1. Twice as large and much harder to please. Unless you bring a lot of food. The enemies in the game, however, are fairly easy to deal with, because the game knows that the controls are shit, so you can't really have any really challenging enemies, because you can't do things that you would be expecting to do, at least not at a comfortable way. The most gigantic statues will only slowly chip away at Lara's mighty health bar, but if you conserve ammo, it still gets quite tedious because the pistols deal very little damage. Far more dangerous than the enemies are the instant killing spikes and boulders that are all over the place. Yes, the traps and such have almost Dark Souls levels of difficulty, while the enemies are quite simple. And all the while, the game is very long, especially if you get stuck a lot. There, however, isn't much replay value. Once you've completed the game once, you'll be deprived of the excitement of finding new areas, and all you'll be stuck with is the boring enemies and the annoying puzzles and annoying controls, yes. The only question is, do you conserve ammo or health packs? Because you can't take them with you once the game is done, and they're clearly more fun to use than not to. But you don't know what you should do in the first time you played. But the answer is actually quite simple and unexpected and illogical, because the final boss is a huge bullet sponge, and you're dancing with him on a lake of lava. So both of those things just instant kill you. So all the health packs you brought will be pretty useless. However, ammo will be very important, because he's very hard to kill and very annoying to kill, yes. In fact, he's quite bullshit altogether, because he could do his instant killing laser whenever he wants, but he chooses to only do them if you run to a certain area. So you need to shoot him to stun him, and then go to that area and collect the items. And you have to do this 4 times, and each time it takes like all of the ammo you have for one gun. When he's not stunned, he slowly prances around with you in a dance of death around the lake, but he doesn't shoot you even though he could. It's very odd. It's too bad as well, because I would have liked to use the fancy weapons more often in the game, but apparently I had to hamster them all for the final boss. Not that I knew that, because I don't think I ever got to that final boss as a kid. So I guess the fact that I conserved a lot of ammo was good, but I also wasted some ammo because I just wanted to use the cool guns. So that was a mistake, I suppose. But that just makes the whole game more boring, because you need to play tedious pistol run until the final boss, I guess. This whole thing is very telling of the process of designing that they went through with this game. And there's a lot of cool ideas, and it's a very large game because of all these ideas that are in it. But some of them are just more annoying than they are fun. Some of the puzzles, the final boss, the minecart ride, put in purely to show off, but not very entertaining. Oh god, I better avoid making that same mistake in my game. At least there's no tiny enemies in this game, unlike Tomb Raider 1 or 4 or whichever ones, where there's tiny scorpions or bats. Even the time where you fight dragonflies, they're actually huge because they've been mutated. Wait a moment. Why does Lara die when she gets in contact with the meteor's radiation, while other people who touch it become supervillains and spider monsters? Oh my god, it's cause Lara's not organic. Robot Lara confirmed. Run for your life. She will stab you with her pointy metal breasts. There's no escape. So anyways, I had a decent amount of fun playing the game. It's definitely a 5 out of 10, but at the time it probably was a 9 out of 10. You can find the whole playthrough of me playing in this convenient playlist. It's partially on my gameplay channel because the videos got increasingly long and frustrating, and because they didn't get a lot of views on this channel. Maybe I should have used more clickbait. All the videos, however, are in this playlist, but be warned, I spent less and less time editing them, because I do these Let's Plays more to relax than to entertain, and I don't want to create any more work for myself by making Let's Plays. So anything on my gameplay channel will just be that, more autistic Let's Plays, where I'm having fun with my friends and not really putting a lot of effort into editing it. But you probably still like that stuff, because that's all the stuff I was doing only half a year ago. So if you were there, then that's where you can find that type of stuff. Autistic Let's Plays. Just before I split this channel into an unholy trinity of channels. Oh yes. Well, subscribe and check out the stuff. Goodbye! More such reviews coming if you like this one, I hope. Oh, yeah, like it. Press the like button.
Oh.
Holy shit,
Nah.
you broke the game.
Dude, make a save state. Wow. Make a save of this, dude. Just make sure you don't save over it.
I'm walking in the air.
That's so
I'm walking
cool.
in the moonlight star.
Well,
Oh my god.
I don't think it'll keep. I think if I reload it, it won't be this way.
Oh, you never know. This is so good.
This is
Whee!
amazing.
Wow.
This is the best thing I've seen today.
This is a fucking great game. 10 out of 10, dude.
It was all worth it.
Finally. It paid off.
Oh well, let's go fight the current then, I guess, wherever that was.
What are you gonna call this part?
Wait, now it knows I'm under. No,
Nah, it doesn't have a clue, dude.
it made the water
Yeah.
sound, but that was it.
You've confused the game.
Now, where did I come from earlier?